Today we are here in Estonia Embassy with Honorable Ambassador Kaja Tael. Thank you that we can spend time with you. My first question is, you graduate from Tartu University with a degree in Estonian philology. What influenced you to decide to study in this area? And upon having graduated, what was it that influenced your decision to enter into field of politician affairs?
Well, first of all, you need to bear in mind that diplomacy is really not policy area. Diplomacy is as any other profession. So I am a professional diplomat. I have nothing to do with the politics in Estonia. But the question, of course, is interesting but complicated because I was not born in free Estonia. I was born in Estonia, which was occupied by the Soviet Union. So the choices of professions were not perhaps what people in a free world would dream of. And diplomacy as a career was absolutely unspeakable for Estonians. So, well, to be frank, to study your mother language was some sort of the respite from this Soviet everyday awful environment. And I really liked my studies, but it had absolutely nothing to do with my further career in diplomacy, so I usually joke that I studied something completely useless.
Now, maybe not useless. You can use in different way all of your knowledge.
I'm sure this is true, but to study a small language and then become a professional diplomat, well, you really don't use the language in your everyday work, yes.
My second question is, during your politician or diplomatic career, you have been appointed as the ambassador in Great Britain and Nordic Ireland, and you are currently Undersecretary to Foreign Ministry for European Union Affairs. And as ambassador, do you think you are more in contact with people? And in which position do you feel you gain the most satisfaction from?
It's true that the job profile is quite different when you work in the capital and when you work as a bilateral ambassador somewhere. And the work in the capital is probably a little bit more administrative, but it also maybe carries more responsibility. So I really liked it. It's a big challenge, and you get the chance to shape the diplomacy of your country and to be totally engaged with forming the foreign policy of your country. As a bilateral diplomat residing somewhere, you are much more involved with very different kind of concrete hands-on projects in this particular country.
My next question is more about relationship. The first Estonian ambassador in Germany was the Honorable Tit Masulevich in 1991, after Estonia won independence. In your opinion, since that time, how's that relationship between Germany and Estonia did change?
The first ambassador after regaining the independence in 1991. So we are present here in Germany since 1920. This is our historic house, this particular building. The Republic of Estonia was born in 1918. So in this sense, our good friend Tit Matsulevich was not the first ambassador in Germany. But as for our relations between Estonia and Germany, well, the really watershed movement was our entering into the European Union and NATO in 2004. So I suppose all our activities before this historic date were really focused on gaining the possibility of joining the EU and NATO. Now, after the joining, the relations are totally different, and we're just, the very best partners in the European Union and NATO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically, my next question is about that Estonia is member of the EU and NATO and also Eurozone and support Eastern Partnership. In what ways do you think diplomatic relations with other countries such as Germany and Estonia is achieving your domestic goals and strategy?
So the interplay between our foreign policy and domestic policy. Well, the very well-known truth, the truism actually, is that the foreign policy needs to be continuation of the domestic policies. Now, for a very small country in very crucial historic times, it sometimes is the other way around. So I'm sure that when Estonia was seeking the membership, our utmost concern was the security of Estonia. So there has been a very broad consensus in Estonia through party lines for all those years that security is our utmost concern. So I believe that even now, and perhaps especially now since 2014, since Russia has violated all those international agreements, we are once again very focused on our main concern on our stability in foreign policy and security policy. So whatever we do in NATO, in the European Union, has an implication in Estonia in this way that people do understand that we cannot be left alone in the world, and so we need to cooperate with our partners in the best possible way so that we can establish ourselves as a trustful partner for our allies. And that, of course, has major implications for domestic policies. The concern right now everywhere in the world is the refugee crisis. Mm-hmm. Should we be prepared and able to play a role here? Should we play a part in burden sharing in Europe? That's a very complicated question also in Estonia, but the government has decided yes. Mm-hmm. And this is a little bit like against mainstream also in Estonia, but we do it.
Oh, very nice. Then maybe a little bit more question about the cultural diplomacy and culture. Estonia has a good relationship with Germany, and since 2003, cultural attaché has worked in Estonia embassy. And I also saw many high schools are offering the UNIQUE program in which Estonian students have possibility to gain Estonian and Germany high school diplomas. And how important do you think is that younger generation learn other languages and can be educated in culture results at school? And do you think programs such as this can contribute to deeper relationship between Germany and Estonia?
Well, as for the foreign languages, the skills for foreign languages, the need for this is self-evident in a small country. I mean, we don't argue about it. We don't discuss it. We just do it. We just learn languages. In our high schools, there are mostly 3 obligatory foreign languages which you need to learn. And the program you refer to, the possibility for Estonians to graduate with this German certificate, of the German Abitur certificate, this of course is rather exceptional. This is only provided, I think, in a couple of schools in Estonia. But obviously it's very, very favorable for the young people who then, of course, equal on the German job market, if they so wish, or most importantly, in the German universities.
Yes. And maybe my last question then In what way is Estonia Embassy in Germany promoting Estonian culture here? And what do you plan? Like, what events are you planning for future here?
Yes, that's also a question which needs a rather complicated and thorough answer. First of all, of course, we do have a cultural attaché, a diplomat sent from Tallinn, and he makes his own plans. It differs from year to year where the focus lays. For example, last year we celebrated the 80th birthday of one of the world-renowned Estonian composers, Arvo Pärt, and that's why 2015 was the year of music in Estonia. So also here in Germany we had some absolutely wonderful big concerts. In Konzerthaus in Berlin, for example, and so on and so on. Now, this year is dedicated a year for a maritime culture. So there is an interesting opportunity to combine, let's say, business diplomacy with cultural diplomacy. And of course, all sorts of business events would be much livelier with some cultural performances and contributions. Here in this house, you see, we always display contemporary Estonian art. So the exhibitions vary from classical paintings. At the moment, we see a photo exhibition, more the social project really. It's about Estonian Roma people. We have had jewelry exhibitions. The latest exhibition was the Estonian comics. So it is really a very wide range of Estonian contemporary art, and this is certainly going to continue. Then there are some festivals in Germany where we have already traditional connections. Sometimes we do a one-off project last year and still continuing this year. The flagship project was exhibition of a very famous book illustrator Ilon Viikland, who has illustrated all the books of Astrid Lindgren, who is of course also very well known in Germany. So this exhibition was on display in Berlin for a long time. It has moved to Munich at the moment and will come back to Greifswald University in the spring. So these are just a few examples.
Maybe my last question. What do you think, why is cultural diplomacy and cultural aspect very important in current situation, maybe in refugees crisis, but in general in our world we are really focusing on different culture. What do you think, why it's like that?
I don't think that culture gains a specific status at specific times. I think it's important always, and it's just part of human life. So I don't think that we should focus more or less on culture during Euro crisis or refugee crisis or whatever the next crisis might be. But I think that people-to-people contacts are usually best established through culture, and this is what the world is about: people-to-people contacts.
Then thank you for your answers, and maybe we can meet each other next time. Thank you.